just running after money, running after pleasure, running after this, running after that. So it's Lochan Das Thakur is just, he's not sugarcoating it. He makes it funny. I thought it was going to be a lovely... I tried to taste its nectar. Instead it was like chewing dry wood. And I kept trying and I kept failing to get what I was looking for. Because the heart is searching. So anyway, every song in this songbook is a world of instruction and a heart expression of the devotees of the Vaishnava. So it's actually one of our most precious books, the Kirtan Guide. So we'll put the Kirtan Guide here, otherwise we could just keep singing. Too many nice songs. So we're going to carry on with our Bhagavad-gita class. But Shripad Nyasi Maharaj is feeling a little sick tonight, sadly. So I'm just going to stand in for him and we'll see what we can do. So we're going to, it looks like we're not going to have all the audio video stuff, but we'll have that next week. Who talked last week? Did Bhakti Lalita talk last week? Last week she did? Oh, nice. I missed that, sadly. So we're coming towards the end of the second chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mattalyo Nasti Papatmana Parati Chakasyana Parihare Pralajame Kimburuve Purushottama. So I think we're on 266 is the shloka. I don't know what page it is, we'll find it. So, 266? Yeah, I think so. So the first chapter of Bhagavad-gita sort of lays the scene. The armies are on the battlefield. Sanjay is in his mystic trance. Gurudev would laugh about that. He said, because everybody accepts Bhagavad-gita, the Mayavadis love the Gita, every kind of philosophical slant. They still love the Gita because you can read it in different ways. And he said, and because it's so true, because it's describing reality, nobody questions the fact that the person who was relaying it wasn't there. He was in a trance. Sanjay was in a mystic trance, seeing what was going on and reporting it to Dhritarashtra Maharaj. So it's kind of quite, fantastic to begin with. So Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra, yes, the armies are there. I can see Arjuna, I can see Krishna, I can see Bhishma, I can see Drona, I can see all the great armies are drawn up. And Arjuna's looking and he's not happy. He can see his relatives, his grandfather. He doesn't know what to do. He's starting to cry. And the first kind of lesson of the Gita is right there, because eventually, he throws down his bow. He says, well, even if I win the battle by killing my family, what am I going to do? Sit there and be enjoying in a big palace? How will I? So really the Bhagavad Gita begins, or its instruction is beginning at that moment. Because instead of just doing that, he turns to his dear friend, who's acting as his charioteer, and with folded palms asks for some guidance. He says, you tell me, what am I supposed to do? O Madhusudan, chastiser of the enemy, Mahabaho. He says, what should I do? And then this second chapter is like quite a long chapter, and it's just from the ABC of the soul. Well, never was there a time when you didn't exist, or I didn't exist, or all these kings didn't exist. The soul, Deinosmin Yataha Dehe, it comes, it gets a new body when the old body's worn out like a set of clothes. It accepts a new body. The Atma, you can't cut it with a knife, you can't burn it with fire, you can't wet it with water. It's absolutely untouched by the machinations of this material energy. So he starts to take him away. What are you talking about? You're going to kill her. No one is killed anyway. Don't you understand the basic stuff? And he leads them through the chapter, going more and more, deeper and deeper into the nature of the soul and the nature of reality. I always forget that I need my glasses. It'll take me 1 second, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, forgot that you can't. I'm getting old. See these bodies? First my eyes were fine. Now they're okay, but to read this edition of the Gita, then I'll have to trade them in for some new eyes. Hare Krishna. So we're going to 266, I think was the shloka, on page 45. Yes, page 45, text 66. Shall we all just chant it together? Is that how we'll do it? Okay, so it's the verse that starts Nashti Buddhya Ayuktasya. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Nashti buddhya ayuktasya na chayuktasya bhavana na cha bhavataha shantiya ashantasya kuta shukam. Very good. Our Sanskrit is getting better, we hope. A person bereft of self-control can have neither wisdom nor meditation. Without meditation there is no peace, and without peace where is the hope for happiness? So there's that, the happiness for which we're always searching, the hankering of the heart, the hankering of consciousness. So Guru Maharaj would say there's Sat and Chit and Anand. So I exist and the microphone exists and the chair exists. We're all here. Sat. Chit is consciousness. The chair isn't aware of being a chair, but I'm aware of being me. But he says consciousness is for something. Consciousness is for something, and it's looking for something. It's looking for its food. And what is the food of consciousness?
Peace.
Huh?
Peace.
More than peace. Anand, Satchidanand. Anand is the food of consciousness. And Anand is one of those small Sanskrit words which can encompass so much. It's sweetness, it's beauty, it's charm, it's bliss, it's ecstasy, it's love, it's affection. All that and more is contained in that one little word, Anand. Yes, Anand. Thank you, Anand. And Guru Maharaj is saying, Anand is the food of consciousness. It's what everything that is conscious is looking for. The dog is looking for it, the tree is looking for it in a covered way, and all people are looking for it. And they may look in different ways according to their own conditioning and degree of covering. But they're looking for Ananda. So on a very low level, somebody may be injecting drugs. They're looking for Ananda. Somebody else may be collecting beautiful paintings that cost £50 million a shot. They're looking for Ananda. And all those phases in between. And so people can say, well, I'm not really interested in religion. I'm not really interested in philosophy. Fair enough. Are you interested in pleasure? Who's going to... Yes. It's what we're looking for. And actually extend it out. Ananda. Ananda. So that's what we're looking for. The food of consciousness. Beautiful way of describing what this Anandam is. But a person bereft of self-control can have neither wisdom nor meditation. Without meditation there is no peace, and without peace, where is the hope of happiness? Okay, we'll go on to the next verse. So it's the one that starts with Indriyanam Icharatam. So we'll go slowly, so we can all keep up. 3, 2, 1. Indriyanam Icharatam Yanmano Nuvidiyate Tad Asya Harati Pragyam Vayu Navam Ivambashi. Well, I recognize Vayu. Vayu, the wind. Where are we? 67. As a boat on the ocean is thrown off course by an unfavorable wind, similarly, the wisdom of a person lacking self-control is carried away by even one of the roaming senses that the mind might follow. So increasingly in the world is like a sensory overload, you could say, really. I mean, back in the days where you lived in the village and you... Yes, I mean, it was... And what was there was nature. You know, it was kind of natural. Whereas now, I mean, even in my lifetime, we've gone from 3 TV channels to an unlimited amount of, you know, digital and all these things. Really, sensory and distraction overload. So the senses are how we receive and deal with the world. But Krishna's saying if they're not controlled, even one of them can just take you in a direction you really don't want to go. That doesn't go anywhere good.
There's one example, the sage who was in meditation and then he saw the 2 fish.
Oh yes.
And then he broke his meditation.
Broke his meditation. I wish I could remember who that was, but yes, that's a good example of how a small thing. And everything in our culture and everything in our society is demanding attention. Give me your attention. Give me your ear. Give me your taste. Give me your tongue. Give me your. It's so loud and brash. You're driving down the street. Every billboard has got some burger on it, or some beer on it, or some, you know, something. iPad. Huh? Yes. In your face. That's the whole wave, not just of our culture actually, but of the Kali Yuga, not even just the world, of the universe. That's the universal wave. And the voice of the sadhus, the Vaishnavas, fortunately, is there, and it's substantial, but you have to give some energy to catch it. It's not going to happen accidentally. Like, you have to tune the other stuff out. You have to come to Gita class. You have to listen to something on the, you know, iPod. You have to make a choice to tune into that vibration. It's talking about control. The wisdom of a person lacking self-control is carried away. And the senses are what we have. So the senses, what was the word Srila Prabhupada used? Dovetailing. That lovely word, have to be dovetail. So you got to eat. So the Lord is so merciful, He's given us prasadam. It's spiritual food. So we can utilize, so much so that when back in the early days of the Mat, some gentleman was visiting, and he said something like, but you're just doing what we're doing. You're eating and sleeping, and we're eating and sleeping. And Guru Maharaj says, no, we're not eating. We don't eat. And he says, yeah, what are you talking about? Of course you're eating. That's what you're eating. He says, no, we don't eat. We honour prasadam. The senses are engaged in some devotional activity. So, and he was not being funny or like being, he was deadly serious. No, this isn't eating. This is honouring prasadam. You don't even eat prasadam. You honour it. Take it in a appropriate mood, a meditation, like a japa. And we have to smell something. So the temple always smells so nice. There's the fragrance. And the first thing you notice when you go into a devotee's house or you go into the temple is the beautiful smell from the incense that's been offered to the Lord, from the prasadam that's been cooked so nicely. It's so many things, but you notice it in your nose. First thing, oh, it smells so nice here. I'm at a devotee's house. And of course, the ears, we're singing so many songs, beautiful songs here in Mahamandir. So we're trying to engage our senses. They have to be engaged. You can't. That's the other. It's a different approach, is to try and cease the contact of the senses with their objects and withdraw into the inner plane. And that path exists, but it's not one that's recommended by our teachers. For a start, you don't own anything anyway, so where's the question of giving anything up or giving anything away? It's not yours to begin with. You're going to give up something that ain't yours? You've got to utilize everything correctly. Guru Maharaj would say we have to become members of the organic whole. Members of the organic. That's a buzzword now, so it's good to slip the odd organic in there if you can. Members of the organic. And Guru Maharaj was using it before it was the buzzword it is today. Everything's organic, But that's the truth of it. We are members of an organic whole. And when we behave like that, he said the secret to the organic whole is that everything works for the center. The Vedas say the fingers take the food gives it to the fingers give it to the mouth, gives it to the stomach. Everything does its job and everything is healthy and happy. But now we're infected with this cancer of separate interest. The hand takes the food and says, no, I'm keeping this food. I want this food. I'm not giving it to the mouth. Well, what's the result of that? Well, we can see in this terrible world what the result of that is. People saying, Srila Saraswati Thakur said, this world lacks for nothing. The only thing lacking in this world is Krishna consciousness, God consciousness. That's surrendered to the Lord. Everything else is separate interest. It may be dressed as religion. It may be dressed as politics. It may be my own personal selfish interest. And then that's extended to my family, a bit more to my country. Maybe you get as far as humanity. But still, it's some separate interest, this diseased condition. So these senses are what we have to deal with. And as a boat on the ocean is thrown off course by an unfavorable wind, similarly, the wisdom of a person lacking self-control is carried away by even one of the roaming senses that the mind might follow. So we know that only one has to get out. Once you can't control, and of them all, which is the most voracious, which is the most difficult? Any ideas that we hear? The tongue. The tongue is the most difficult to control, not only for eating, but for speaking as well. Two things. So you get a twofer with that. What's that? You'll know it. What's the Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam? The pushings, the Vegams. This is. Did you study Nectar of Instruction? Yeah. Okay. This sloka of Rupa Goswami. and telling about the various pushings that we face. And one of them is the tongue, the most difficult. Okay, let's go to the next verse 68. Okay, it's the top of page 46. We'll go slowly. 3, 2, 1. Tasmad yasya mahabaho nigritani savasaha indriyan indriyatebyas tasya pragya pratishtita. Are you reading the Sanskrit or are you reading the English? Very good. Very good. See, this is wonderful. Wonderful. Therefore, O subduer of the enemy, Mahabaho, one whose senses are fully withdrawn from their objects, is a person of firmly established wisdom. Let's do the next one now as well. We'll carry on with the next one, starting Ya Nisha. 3, 2, 1. Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagati Samyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Mune. That which is day for the self-controlled sage is night for all beings, and that which is day for all beings is night for the sage who sees. So in Srimad Bhagavad-gita we have so many types of yoga are explained, and so many ways of seeing, and Krishna gives so many details. He'll go through a chapter and give so many details, and then at the end of the chapter he'll say, but you know what, just surrender to me and all that's taken care of. All the intricacies of attachment and aversion, or working without attachment, not being attached to the fruits of our actions. And in the end he says, just surrender to me and it's taken. And he says that repeatedly, and finally ends with Sarvadhamma Parityagya. But it comes usually towards the end of a chapter where so many intricacies have been described, and then very simply, just surrender to me and that's taken care of. So one whose senses are fully withdrawn from their objects is a person of firmly established wisdom, and that is day for the self-controlled sage, is night for all beings. So we see the world is kind of upside down for devotees. When everybody else is sleeping, we're getting up. And when everybody else is going out on the raz, we're all in bed because it's 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. You know? It's got the upside down world of the devotees. We get the best of everything, really, the best time of the day. So we've been given everything by our teachers, really, everything to help us practically do the impossible. What he's saying here, one whose senses are fully withdrawn from their objects is a person of firmly established wisdom. And who is that person? I mean, how rare is that person? We are the denizens of Kali Yuga for a start. The 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam goes into great detail about what it's like to live in this age. What's that shloka? The people of Kali Yuga, short-lived, quarrelsome, angry, and above all, always disturbed. It just goes with the territory from taking birth here and now. We're not in the Satyuga living under a banyan tree with mangoes falling out of it. We don't even have to do agriculture. It's just there. Milk cows dripping milk are walking past. Just help yourself. You can meditate. Clean air, clean water, few people, everybody's... No doctors. Everything's very subtle, sound energy. You can travel by sound, by mantra. So wonderful. So these people could go to the forest and sit on kusha grass and a deer skin and perform some For a start, you can't even buy a deer skin. They're probably illegal by now. You know? And you go to the Himalaya. I went to in Himachal Pradesh, like high, well, not so high. I went to like maybe 4,500 meters, towards 5,000 that way. Walking a week from the village, many days walk from the village, and we found snow, but the snow is black. Like pollution in the high Himalayas, come from India, come from China, came down, black. Or you go to the jungle, you can hear the chainsaws in the desert. So, or to speak of all the radio waves and who knows all. Peace. So, one whose senses are fully withdrawn from their objects. We can understand that this is true. But where we are is a little bit different from that. We've got a mortgage to pay, kids to feed, this to do, that to do. In the modern world, which is, you know, the idea, Srila Prabhupada used to say the purpose of human life is simple living, high thinking. But now we find ourselves generally as the opposite. It's a very complicated life, and there's no thinking behind it. We just got to get home and put on Love Island. You know, this is what people exactly.
We live for Friday.
Right. Live for Friday. And then if somebody's had a really good weekend, you say to them, "Did you have a good weekend?" They say, "I don't know, it was brilliant. I can't remember any of it." Well, they do in England anyway. I'm sure they do in many places. You know, this is a symptom of good. When I forgot the pain of having to go to work or whatever it is for a few hours.
Yeah. Monday's still there.
And Monday is still there, exactly. Monday will come. So you can't avoid it. So, so Krishna's telling us the truth. But mercifully, he understands that, because remember, the Bhagavad-gita is spoken 5,000 years ago. So although it was basically the beginning of Kali Yuga, when Krishna departs, really that's when it starts to happen, this modern age. But still, 5,000 years ago was 5,000 years ago, and he was here, walking around. We have to try and compute that.
Was it in Dwapar?
Yes, it was the end of the Dwapar Yuga, yes. It was the sort of cusp, the...
So is it Treta Yuga is Rama, isn't it?
Yes, I think so.
Treta Yuga.
Yes, I think so.
And Dwapar is Krishna.
Yes, I think so.
That's
I know, I think Goswami Maharaj sort of put a figure that Rama, Lord Ramchandra was about 2.5 million years ago, something like that. Yeah. So these are eternal truths. So Krishna's saying them, and this is the truth. One whose senses are fully withdrawn from their objects is a person of firmly established wisdom. But then he gives us something for us as well, because if we read that, we just give up now and go home. You know, it's like, you know, it's basically an impossibility. And even in India, where there's a long tradition of, you know, Chagis and, you know, what do they call them, the naked ones, the Nagas and all these, who can do this? And if you can do it, more often than not, you become very proud of the fact that you can do it, and then you come crashing down again. Look how clever I am. I can go naked in the snow. Aren't I great? So, there's pitfalls, you know, everywhere you look. That's why they say spiritual life is a razor's edge. There's always some, you know, especially when you start thinking that you're achieving something, and you're
it's not achieving, but it's beautiful once you know what you're doing with open eyes.
Yes, it is beautiful, and it all begins with our understanding that I'm nothing really. Mahaprabhu would say, Jiva Rasvarupa Hoy Krishna Nichadas. What is the nature of the Atma? I mean, we're going in that direction. Krishna's taking us there. What is it? What does it do? And how does it achieve that anandam that it's always looking for? And it's a very weird thing. By looking to take that Anandam, you'll never get it. Because you're not the master of Anandam. You're not the master of beauty. You're the servant of beauty. And when that idea of acquiring beauty and acquiring spiritual knowledge and acquiring whatever it is given up, and it's my Lord, I am yours. Kill me, keep me, as you like, you know, the beautiful prayers of Kunti Devi in the Bhagavad-gita, as you like you do. Then suddenly, when we've stopped that and we're just offering, suddenly we're tasting. Then we're tasting Amrita, this joyous substance. And the more surrender, the more giving, the more that increases. It's really true. What do we say in English? It's better to give than to receive, something like that. This is a deep truth there. And it's counterintuitive. You think you get it by trying to get it. Krishna says you only get it by giving up that idea. And it's a very heavy thing. That's why all these songs we sing and the books we read are calling out for this divine substance called Sharanagati, surrender. To stop imposing my calculative equation. Well, I could do that, but will I get what I want? No, I'm not going to do that. I could do this, yeah, maybe I'll try that. It's dirty, it's nasty, it's horrible. And that's where we are, we find ourselves. Krishna says, you have to give up. You can't calculate me. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Everything you think you know is relative and wrong, ultimately. And he is the supreme, dancing, sweet, beautiful, affectionate friend of us all, whose very nature is ecstatic, but we're too calculating, we're too full of suspicion to let go to him. That's what we have to give up. That is our life's work, and many lives' work. This is our sadhana. And all the devotees are glorifying Sharanagati. And not just in, it's a universal thing. You'll find the same idea in all religions. You have to surrender. You have to let go of your calculation. It's not going to help you. It's only going to hold you back. You've got a tiny little brain and you're making calculations on the infinite. You're going to be wrong. Like Guru Maharaj would say, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Oh, it's not possible. Anything's possible. Look, Gurudev would say, Prabhu, everything is miracle. Everything is miracle. The fact that we're sitting here is miracle. The fact, it's all a miracle. Hare Krishna. Okay, where we are? I think we might just finish this chapter, actually. Well, yeah, I think we've got 3. I think we can do it. Yeah. That would be good to finish this second chapter today. Okay, so we're on 6. We're on. Oh no, there was an extra part. I didn't. Sorry, I didn't finish that. So, the last shloka that we read, 69, says that which is day for the self-controlled sage is night for all beings, and that which is day for all beings is night for the sage who sees. The living beings absorbed in mundane life are asleep to the spiritual joy of the realized soul, who remains indifferent to their quest for the pleasures of the senses, devoid of spiritual joy. So it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, we're all at different stages going in that direction. But I mean, we can see that, and we just discussed that. Joy for a lot of people is Friday night down the pub. And if you said, well, our joy is like getting up at 4 o'clock and having a shower and putting on tilak and singing the songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas in front of the beautiful deity, they think we're nuts. And we think they're not. So it's true. I mean, it really is. Hare Krishna. All right, so 70 is a little longer shloka, isn't it? Okay, so let's go with number 70. That's the one that starts Apuriyamanam on page 46. 3, 2, 1. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram apa pravishanti advat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve ashantim apnoti nakama kami. Oh, this is wonderful sloka. As the ocean remains full and unchanged, though many rivers and streams enter into it, the person of firmly established wisdom attains peace despite all desires entering him. But a person who nurtures desires cannot know peace. So that's a very important shloka, really, in that it's not that everything will disappear from us, but we, you know, this equilibrium or equipoise, or the ability to see, you know, I guess the modern name for it is mindfulness or something like that. The ability to see what the mind is doing and think, okay, all right, off you go again, running in that direction, running in that direction, and not act on it, or not, what's the word here, nurture it, not nurture that desire. You know, we have to give our attention somewhere, and it feeds on that. So it's not that we're devoid of those things, but how we respond to them. Okay, so we've got two more shlokas, so let's do them both together. Okay, so on page 47 we've got two shlokas, and we'll just do the two together, and then we'll finish up this chapter. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumascharati nispriha nirmano nirankaraha sashantim adigachati. Esha brahmishtiti pata ainam prapya vimoyati shtitvasyam antakalepi brahma nirvanam richati. It's small, isn't it? The writing, you need your glasses.
Like Sandhi Brahma plus. It's easy. The way they teach us Sanskrit, they cut the words like Brahma plus Nirva. Nirvan plus Marchite is easy to.
Yes.
It's like a.
You were very fortunate.
It's difficult to sometimes.
Yes. You were fortunate learning at school.
It changed its sound.
Okay, where are we at? 71. Only a person who lives his life abandoning all desires, hankering, ego, possessiveness, can know real peace. O Pata, this is realization of the Absolute, attaining which a person is freed from the delusion of mundane existence. Even at the time of death, only a momentary attainment of this state leads one to the divine abode. So again, Krishna's speaking, you know, the facts, but he's coming to help us as well. Because again, we'd be in the same position. Oh, okay, I need to abandon all desires, hankering, ego, and possessiveness. How am I going to do that? So we'll learn, actually, it's that word dovetailing that Srila Prabhupada used to like a lot. You know, the wooden, how you join two pieces of wood together? One of the nicest is called a dovetail cut. And the wood is cut like this, like little dovetails, and it just slots together like this.
Like a cogwheel?
Huh?
Cogwheel?
Yes, something like that. It comes together like that. So he said, like you can't stop eating, so you dovetail that with Krishna consciousness and you take spiritual food. I haven't got anything. Everything came to me. I don't own these, you know, I didn't make these potatoes, and I didn't make this cauliflower. Krishna gave them to me. But what I can do is try to use that potato and that cauliflower to make a nice aloo gobi sabji, and try to do it with some heart as a yajna, as an offering, and put it on a nice plate with a tulsi leaf on it and say, my Lord, thank you for giving me a cauliflower and a potato. I've tried to make something for you. Please accept this sabji. Like that. And then we are taking the Lord's remnants and we are eating, but it's being dovetailed. So similarly with the desires and everything else, Gurudev had so many desires, but they were all how to please his guru. Yeah, how to propagate Krishna consciousness, how to build a new temple, so many things, but they were all dovetailed. It wasn't anything for himself. There wasn't a hint of some personal aggrandizement or personal pleasure in there. It was a surrendered soul. So as we'll find out, now Krishna's saying we have to abandon all desires, but we will come to understand that means our selfish desires, and it will be normal to. And the devotees also have compassion. They have a desire to help the suffering conditioned souls, to give them a chance to hear something. You know, I was exactly the same as that. You know, I didn't come to the devotees till I was, I think, 20. I took initiating when I was 29, and I met them a little earlier than that. So I was heading for 30 of not being a devotee. So I had plenty of experience being in the pub on a Friday night and all that stuff. I mean, that was my youth, really. Didn't have the fortune to come in those early days. So, and it was because I met devotees who gave me prasadam and gave me affection, number one. That was the thing that did it, affection. And prasadam helps, and philosophy was quite a long way down the list, really. It wasn't a mental thing. It was a heart thing, I think. That's what attracted me. So we see that the devotees do have desires, but they're dovetailed with the organic whole, and then it ends up with that other fantastic. O Partha, this is realization of the absolute, attaining which a person is freed from the delusion of mundane existence. It's a delusion. It's a delusion. Like the spiritual world, where every step is a dance and every word is a song. It's not up there. You don't have to go to Pluto, turn left, go 28 billion trillion gazillion miles, turn right, go another 4 quadrillion. Where is it? Where is the spiritual? Jai Mahaprabhu, ki jai, jai Shri Radha Giriraj, ki jai. Right, it's inside. That's where it is. That's where the spiritual world is. All this stuff that we're like, oh, the material, it's an illusion, and it's coming from us. Jai Mahaprabhu. It's an illusion. Krishna says, this is realization of the absolute, attaining which a person is freed from the delusion of mundane existence. Now vimuyati, I'd have to look in the dictionary, so we haven't got Chagi Maharaj or Vishaka here who could unpick that to its roots. But anyway, that's what it means, delusion. It's a delusion. Because I can be sitting here and Gurudev can be sitting there, and we're in the same room. But we're not in the same world. When Krishna's given us hope, and just even if you just have some glimpse of that, at some point, even at the time of death, only a momentary attainment of this state leads one to the divine abode. So we're being led there. We're feeling so much encouragement for that. But what we don't have, they have. You know, Krishna preserves what we have and carries what we lack, and through his devotees. So Srimad Bhagavad-gita the songs we're singing, the Murti form of the Lord, they're all helping us to drive this point home. That it's here and now, in this minute. It's the only minute we've got. We're lamenting about the past, worrying about the future. Who knows what will happen. But now, in our hand, we have something. And all the sadhus say, use it. Try and, go in that direction. Do things that will help you. And these things will be to your return. You're not going to lose them when you lose your body, and you lose your car, and you lose your family, and you lose your house, and you lose everything, and you're thrust again into that wheel of samsara, and who knows where we'll be. That, what you tasted and what you realized, you won't lose that. That'll continue with you wherever you go. Krishna says it in the Gita. You won't lose that. Because Arjuna's a little bit... Anyway, that's coming, I think. So, we finished the second chapter, which is a great chapter because it's such a sort of down-to-earth basic chapter of what life is. So we'll just chant the final rounding up. It's kind of long, but it concludes the chapter on page 48. 3, 2, 1. Iti Shri Mahabharate Shatta Sahasryam Samitayam Vayasikyam Bhishma Parvani Shrimad Bhagavad-gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vijayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Shankhya Yoga Namo Dvityo Jaya. Hare Krishna. End of chapter 2, the constitution of the soul, from the conversation of Sri Krishna and Arjuna in Srimad Bhagavad-gita Upanishad, the yoga scripture of transcendental knowledge, in Bhishma Parva of Sri Mahabharata, the holy scripture revealed by Srila Vyasadeva in 100,000 verses. That's been read in this form and relished and cherished for 5,000 years. Why? Because it's describing reality. It has intrinsic truth. Whereas nowadays, talk about disposable culture, my goodness, it's finished. The next day it's gone.
This is a manual of this gadget.
Yeah, yes, the human gadget.
Manual.
Yes.
So we are surviving by getting here and there.
Exactly.
So this is the exact manual how to operate.
How to user's guide.
Yeah.
and if you've ever worked in tech,
yeah.
one of the when somebody's calling up because they don't know how to use their washing machine,
yeah.
and the guy on the tech is kind of rolling his eyes on the tech desk, and he's like, "Have you read the user's manual? Because on page 1 it tells you how to turn it on." It's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, did you read the manual?
The manual. It comes separately, basically.
And yes,
it exists before this gadget built up. Manual builder first, then they build this gadget.
It's going on. So we're fortunate to hear from, to hear directly from the Lord Himself in this conversation with His dearmost friend that's been given to us, in this case by Srila Bhakti Rakshidadeva Goswami Maharaj, his hidden treasure. And he's leading us slowly. We're just beginning now. We've just had some, chapter 2 is like, Spirit 101, the basic foundational class. What is the spirit? How is it different to matter? And then we're going to move through the chapters on how it should be seen or used, how energy should be directed, where we should give our attention. So we've got those chapters to come, and it's now 8 o'clock, so that's good. We'll finish on time on a Wednesday night. And we'll sing Hare Hadaya Nama. You want to sing, Prabhuji? Hare Hadaya Nama Krishna. So that is page 60. Page 60 in our beautiful songbook. Hare Krishna, Jai Guru Jai. Hare Hadaya Nama Krishna, Yadavaya Nama. Yadavaya Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhari Ji ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Rakshira Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Bhag ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Nimal Acharya Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Vrinda ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. All the world devotees ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.